Uh, This open meeting of the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Grafton Public Library Board of Trustees is convening by Zoom video conference as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. In that, take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquy with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Good. Just pull up the agenda. Okay.
Are you able to see it?
Sorry, I'm on my computer, so if you're sharing it, then yes, thank you. Excellent. Perfect. So I don't believe we have any minutes to review for this meeting, so those will be reviewed, the June and July minutes from the next meeting in September, as well as the August minutes, I believe. Any bills to review? I believe Beth sent those out over email. Any comment by any trustees?
Are we ready to make a motion to accept those?
I thought Beth sent an email saying she did not send the minutes.
No, I'm sorry, not the minutes, the bills.
The bill.
They were on
Oh,
to the
sorry.
bills. Yes.
Is it the policies? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
We are on review of the bills.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I don't believe we need to make a motion to accept the bills because those are generally in Beth's hand, just to provide them to us for review.
I am for a motion to accept the bills that I signed off on between your last meeting and this meeting, which are warrants 6 through 10 for July and August 2020. 20 for fiscal year 21. And then I send those out each week to show you what I signed off on. And I've been now giving a little explanation, like here's the total amount, and it was for, you know, lease or programming or utilities or library materials.
Mhm.
Trying to remember the CC.
Right, I second that motion.
Well, I think
I can't make a
someone,
motion. I'm asking for
Oh,
somebody.
So I'll
Okay.
make the motion
Good.
to accept the bills.
I second it.
okay, all in favor? Stephanie,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Yes.
Daniela,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
and I myself. Very good. I declare the motion is passed. On to membership. Stephanie, it's fantastic to finally see you on one of these video calls. So welcome, and we're excited to have you and your new policy skills, if you so choose to exercise them on the Board of Library Trustees. So would you like to just say a few words, and I'll yield the floor to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here at least for the remainder of this year. And so my name's Stephanie Texera. I grew up in Grafton, moved back last year, and now live up at the center of town. So I'm real excited about that. I work at Northeastern University, and I'm a doctoral candidate in law and policy. And I have worked on 2 state level projects about inclusion and open educational resources. And so I'm really excited to kind of bring that engagement to the board.
Great. Well, welcome. Anybody else have any comments, questions for Stephanie?
I would like to welcome Stephanie. It's nice that I will not be the rookie on the board anymore. And I welcome you and look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Me
Oh,
too. Thank you for joining.
yes. Thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming to do this volunteer work. I so appreciate it. It's great to have a full component on the board again. I usually meet with new trustees to kind of go over how the library operates and see what library related questions they have. So if you want to set that up, let me know. We can do it with masks. There also is a formal trustee orientation that the Mass Board of Library Commissioners or state organization, Mass Library System, often provide. I think Erin sent out an email today about an upcoming one, so I highly encourage you to take advantage of that to get an overview of how the state system works and lobbying and the legislative interests of the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, because that's a piece of the work too.
Yes, I'm registered for that.
Great. And please don't hesitate to ask any of us any questions. I know it's a little overwhelming at first. I started last year and went through orientation. Oh, I guess the last in-person one. Yeah, so please, no question is too small or too strange. Please reach out.
Thank you, Danielle.
Excellent. Okay, on to the next item of business. We have the nomination of chair and vice chair. So currently, I'm the chair of the Library Trustee Board, and Karen Sepitelli is the vice chair. Do I have any nominations for chair?
I nominate Aaron Vandersteen for chair.
Thank you, Karen. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I heard a second from Doug. So I will accept that nomination. Do we have any other nominations? Okay, so I will, we need to make a motion.
Just, I would suspect we need to vote.
Yes. So, well, usually there needs to be a motion in order to vote on it, correct?
I move that we vote the question of voting on the nominee.
I second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I heard Doug, Stephanie, and Daniela,
Do you hear me, Dana?
Dana, Marty,
Yes.
and Karen.
Yes.
Thank you very much for nominating me and allowing me to serve you guys for another year. Thank you. On to the nomination of vice chair.
I will nominate Karen Sepatelli for vice chair.
And I will second.
I'm sorry.
We'll allow Daniela to second that one. I think I saw her hand first.
Quicker than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have a motion made and seconded. Karen, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I accept the nomination.
Okay. Daniela, can you make a motion to accept or to vote Karen for vice chair?
Move that we vote for Karen for vice chair.
Okay. I'm sorry, do we have any other nominations for vice chair? Okay. I will start. So all in favor of Karen being the vice chair. Karen Vandestein, aye. Daniela,
Aye.
Anna Wilson,
Aye.
Dan Bowman,
Aye.
Martin Essner,
Aye.
Stephanie Texera,
Aye.
and Karen, I believe you get a vote.
Aye.
Very good. I declare the motion is carried. Welcome as the vice chair again, Karen.
And welcome Aaron as chair. So,
Very good.
all
Yes,
right.
thank you to both of you for the past
Yeah.
year and the future year.
All right.
Thanks,
Yes,
Doug.
we appreciate all your work.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Aaron, for, it'll be interesting to see what happens with all these snow days come winter with COVID and everything. So,
Okay, on to the next item of business is grant updates. The building program grant, Beth.
So it looks like Doug has in his background a very current picture of the library construction project, and there's dormers on the second floor framed out. So yeah, it just feels like it's going really fast. It's incredible. We've been talking about things like bike racks and meeting our LEED certification, and we need to have a staff one and a public one, and what will they look like and where will they go, and we started talking about interiors. Our interior subcommittee met recently in the last 2 weeks, and it was our second meeting, and I feel like DRA, the architects, brought a better presentation the second time around to refine what the interior will look like. We have a rug that's kind of similar throughout the building, but that has different color or pattern pulled out to identify different areas. And the rug that they picked looks kind of like stained glass. I don't know a better way to describe it. I can send some photos after the meeting to attach with the minutes. But it's really vibrant and dynamic and exciting. And they talked about, mostly white walls throughout. We are going to have some chair rail, I think, in our big community meeting room where we can have gallery space to hang paintings. And then accent color walls throughout. We haven't got down to the nitty gritty of furniture beyond they are looking at, I think, a white maple and then a slightly darker shade of wood. So even though we've got dark wood in the current main reading room of the library, those dark built-in shelving, I think it'll look really nice, the color palettes that we seem to be in agreement on. So it's exciting progress all around, interior and exterior. Doug was at that meeting and can add to it. I think.
Well, let's hope the hurricane that comes through doesn't rip any of those beautiful shingles off the roof. Go ahead, Doug.
I would just add that the current main library, which is the historic reading room in the new space, has this very much of a, what do you call it, like a period carpet, really nice carpet in there. At least that's the current proposal.
Yeah, they're going to split the room into thirds and have a pattern with a border around it, sort of to define 3 sections. I think it'll look really nice.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Any comments from any of the trustees? Questions for Beth, or even for Doug, who also serves on the building committee?
And my only question would be, are we still on target for the opening date?
As far as I know, yes, they're making
good.
speedy progress, so no setbacks at this point.
Wonderful.
And when is that opening date again?
So they think that they'll have occupancy by end of June, I believe, June 2021.
Wow.
Yeah, so a year, a little less than a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, there was one other thing. I don't know if you've mentioned this, Beth, in the past. I think you mentioned it last meeting, but the old structure, the old building, there was that problem with the peak with the brick. And I don't know if anyone has seen it. You can kind of just barely see it in my background over towards the top right, but they did a really nice job at matching the brick.
Phenomenal.
And it's amazing. You look at it at first glance, it's like you can't even tell there's anything different, and there's just this barely a difference where you can see the new stuff.
What
So
happened?
that was the part where there was some brick bulging from water damage from above. I mean, it's been there for many years.
Okay.
And they were able to, they essentially took off maybe the top above that bottom window on up. They took all that brick off, repaired the damage, and replaced all the brick. Looks really
Wow.
good.
Is that the same group that's building it?
So it's, yeah, the contracted masons.
Wow, that's
I don't
wonderful.
remember the company name.
Did they replace the brick or use the same brick and put it back in?
They replaced it. So
Really?
they just did a really nice job at matching
Wow.
that brick color and age.
That's very impressive.
Yes.
It'd be nice to have a close-up of that. I bet Andy has one.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I mean, I can give you guys access. I mean, the building committee gets daily reports, and in those daily reports are usually a couple dozen pictures of the space, and of course every day. And so over the past, whatever, 5 or 6 months, there's thousands of pictures. But if you guys want to see anything, let me know. I can try to, collect some of the kind of the key angles and distribute those, or at least present them at some point.
You know what? I did ask that of Andy, and he's going to go. For me, he's going to give me a couple highlights and keep me with the report, because I thought we might use it as we move forward with the campaign.
Yep, he is also putting together whoa, sorry, I'm moving around in my room. I want to turn my video off for a second. He's also doing kind of a time-lapse video, right? Where we're taking a couple pictures a day from this same angle over time. So he's working with Bob Berger and Grafton TV to put together a time-lapse video. So obviously with all the ironworks and until they close up the building, there's going to be a really cool video to see the progress.
Wonderful.
I post probably every couple of weeks. I don't have time to do it every day, and then I'm playing catch up. But I do take the photos out of the daily reports and put them up on Facebook. So there's a lot there, and they don't always have captions, which is challenging. So when they have a note, I try to explain what it is. We have gotten a couple comments of, what is that? I'm like, what is that thing?
I don't know.
So Beth, I have a question because Doug mentioned the main meeting room. Is the main reading room. Is the reading room being tasked with any library operations, or is it something that can be converted into something like a performance space?
I think that I requested in the building plan, and as they designed it, for it to be a space that could, if we wanted to, have a program in there. So there will be the built-in shelving around the perimeter of the room. I don't think we have a staff desk. Instead, we might have a mobile cart where we might move a cart and a stool there for staff presence. I think we have a self-check and some display planned. But there is sort of this idea that we could move all of the chairs and the tables to one end and repurpose the space if we needed or wanted to have a program. It will house the graphic novel collection for adults, the magazines and the newspapers. So its intent is that it's more of a quiet study space and sitting, reading room, but it could be reused for that. Yeah, flexible.
The acoustics are very good in that room, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we move on, I will open up any further comment questions for Beth. Karen?
No, I'm all set. It's very exciting to watch it.
Stephanie?
Only that I was sitting up at the Common the other day and looking, and I'm like, we have such a pretty library.
Yeah, I think they designed the expansion in a way that you really can't see it when you're looking at the library from the Common.
Yeah.
That was purposeful. Okay, Daniela?
I think seeing it get built makes my brain think of all the wonderful programming and activities we can do. So my brain is fast forwarding to next year and thinking of things. I can't stay in the moment. I'm already thinking of what we could do.
Thank you. Dana, any questions, comments for Beth? Dana?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, excellent. Doug? Okay, Marty?
No further questions.
All right, very good. On to the next item. The Grafton Public Library Capital Campaign. Dana?
Okay, well, we are moving ahead. We've been meeting with different people, and I have to say we're making some really great progress. Of course, one thing that we wanted to do is have met with all the trustees, and so by Thursday night we'll have that completed. Meeting with Aaron, and Dawn Anderson is joining me. We had an excellent Zoom conference call with Daniela, which was really wonderful because she knows the library so well, and we basically walked through the new library with her, and we came up with some good ideas, and we also we initiated some good conversation, and out of that came a couple of the other agenda items. Also, I've been very lucky, and I have to thank several people. They will go unidentified, but I have many people that are now helping me figuring out who we should contact. And this is exactly what we've been wanting to happen. And it's been working all along, but now I just have two key people. I met with someone a couple weeks ago with Dawn, and then I'm going to meet with another person next week. And it's just really tremendous. The ideas are really brilliant, and it's happening. And then I hope we're going to have another Zoom meeting with Doug and Carrie Hogan and Dawn Anderson. Also, Dawn Anderson is going to be our clerk. We need to have a clerk, so she's going to do that. So, which means, taking notes and things, and what we'll come up with other opportunities for her too. So I'm pretty excited about it. I want to thank both. I talked to Marty, he was helpful too. And we talked to Daniela, and I'll be talking with Aaron. So that's really great. The things that we really thought of, some of the things we're thinking about is, one of the concerns that came up was, we need to start thinking now versus later about policies for the community room and what we want to do with that. I don't know. We'll just need to, I think that would be a good thing to work on, because I'd like to, when we're talking to people, we should be able to tell them how it will be used. So, and I'm not really clear on that. So I know we have to talk about that, as far as we know that it's going to be used for library purposes. And also, I think we said other organizations within the community, nonprofit groups and whatnot, but it would be good for us to know how that's going to be done. Because I was thinking, of course, I was thinking maybe a business might want to use it, but Beth was saying that probably that wouldn't happen. So that's the kind of thing that has to be determined. It's just that, so everybody knows, there's no space in Grafton for business meetings. There's one or two. We have one now at the Great Hall. And other than that, there's limited spaces. So we may have some businesses that do want to ask us if they may use it. So I just thought we'd create a policy for that. Of course, Daniela was right on that and said, yes, you're right. And now Stephanie can help with that as well. So that was one thing. The other thing is I really want to be cognizant of trying to get the kids, and I always say the kids, the junior high school students, anybody that's 13 years and older who can come to the library alone to walk from after school. So we're brainstorming. If anybody has any ideas, maybe I'm thinking we may want to, Beth and her librarians may want to have maybe the school, different classes from the different schools come and see the library, get a new tour, and then maybe we can try to figure out a walking program. Just because I know the middle school kids should be able to get there and the high school children. So I'm just hoping we can do that, because I think when they see it, they'll be floored when they realize they can do all the collaborative study and have the fun with the gaming and all that. And they have their own private section with the glass wall and everything. So that was something else that came up. F.
I think this is a good time to just remind the board that we have one full-time young adult librarian who's only available 35 hours a week. And if she works on Saturdays, she takes Fridays off. And right now she graciously does 2 nights a week. But because one of the things that happened with the library design is that we split the youth services space very clearly to identify 0 to 12 and 12 to 18. That means that we actually need more staff for that space, especially as you're talking about really pushing it and selling it to the tween and teen audience. I really need another 35-hour-a-week teen librarian.
That's going to happen even if we don't do anything, Beth. It's going to be unbelievable. So we need to be ready. So that's a good reminder.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dana. Would you mind just for our new trustee, just kind of going over what the Grafton Public Library Capital Campaign is?
Sure, and I will get her address and I'll bring her a brochure. What we did is, I think it was several years ago, we formed a 501c3 so that the library we can do fundraising for the library really into eternity. And we can do, it's designed to be able to do it for new construction. Also, if we needed like new projects within the building, furnishings and all of that. And so there's a group of us that are working on basically getting donations from the community. And we have some, I will say very thank you to the Friends. The Friends gave us a great contribution, as well as the trustees. And we have also other contributions that have been given to us. So we're on a roll, I believe. And what's hard about it is I can't really go into detail because it's a public meeting. But, if you have any questions, you can ask me. But it's going along, and we'll see how things go. I hope within the next 5 months or so, we can have some announcements. So when we have it, and the brochure will help you. We have different naming. There's different rooms that can be named, and also window seats. And we had a gracious donation, a pledge made last week, that will the large print room window that has been taken by one of our illustrious trustees. And so we're very pleased with that. And I'm hoping to join her and get a window myself if I can. But it's really exciting. And it's just rolling along now. And I'm just thrilled. We just kind of like getting into the workflow and making it happen. So, and I'm really happy because things are going well in the town. I think, things are settling down. Kids are going to be back to school in some format, and we're just getting back into the regular life. So that's what we need. So that if you have any questions, please just reach out to me. My telephone number is on my email. I'd love to talk to anyone about it. And Doug is the treasurer, I should say, and Carrie Hogan is the VP, and I'm the president, and Dawn Anderson is the clerk.
Okay, thank you, Dana.
You're welcome.
I will open up the floor to trustees. Any questions, comments, Stephanie?
I do have a question. First, Dana, in a private message, I sent you my address.
Perfect.
You just spoke with Beth about kind of going into schools and figuring out how to get them more interested. So I have a 13-year-old, so I'm like plugged
I do
into
too.
school right now. But that's a part of what I did with my policy work, was go into schools and kind of connect them with the services outside. So I was hoping to be able to use that skill on this board. But would I talk to Dana? Would I talk to you, or Beth? Would I talk to you about ideas?
Well, I think probably both of us. And we can offer help too. Beth also, I have to say, it's been tremendous the last several years what Beth has done with the schools. There's so much interaction. It's wonderful. So we have a lot to work on. I just know that, I don't know how to say this, but I know some kids may think the library is not for them. And I really think if we bring them to the library, they'll see that it is for them. And that's what I hope to do, you know, and we know that circulation will go up, but I'd love to get those kids to come in that can really use it. So yeah, we can work on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Erin?
No, nothing to add. Just great job, Dana. And I mean, one thing that I see a lot, like when you read obituaries or things like that, I mean, so many people do, you know, name things like our capital campaign fund, you know, as where to make donations to instead of flowers or something like that. So I think there'll be a lot of opportunities there for people, you know, who really love the library and want to remember it in so many different ways. So,
Well, we already did we had a brief discussion with an individual's attorney who wanted to find out more details, and we gave them details.
yeah,
So we see people putting it into their wills.
there was, yes, definitely. So great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Daniela?
I just want to reiterate what everyone is saying. We had a wonderful meeting, and it was very exciting to see the plans. It was very exciting to also imagine in my own mind's eye what they are. One thing I touched upon is if there would be any way to do a very, very short, few seconds animation, 3D, you know, of what a space would look like, almost like a virtual tour. I know that's a lot of work and that's a lot of computing power, but humans love movement and we remember movement, and it would make the library that much more real to anyone. So that sort of thing, just almost like coming into the library, what would you see, kind of, you know, through 180, 270 view. Other than that, having that meeting with Dana also opened up my mind to other possibilities of how the library can serve and how people can serve or support the library. So it was useful in many more ways than just learning about the plan and learning how to support it in you know, donations or in gift giving.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Doug, any questions, comments for Dana, or anything you want to contribute?
Not me.
Okay, very good. Thanks,
Thanks.
Doug. And Marty?
No, thank you.
Great. Well, I'd like to thank Dana and Doug for their continued efforts on the Grafton Public Library Capital Campaign Committee, something that, you know, was being worked on when I joined the board, you know, 5 years ago, and you guys were still kind of working to get the 501c3 status, and now all that hard work is paid off, because now we can actually, you know, make well use of that fund and have something that people really want to contribute and be part of. So thank you for those efforts. It's been a long time coming.
I would add to that, one of the things that we're trying to do too is there's many projects there are some things we would like to see in our library that are out of the scope of the building. And a lot of individuals really do want to support that. And so we're getting support for things like a garden. That was what monies were given for the garden and other things like that. So it's really going to help us.
Great, thank you, Dana. On to the next item. I have an IT update. Anything to mention there, Beth?
We've been struggling to get our little star receipt printers to print. So I've been sort of back and forth. IT was on site last week and said everything was working, and I went in the next day and everything was not working, and I sent another note. We've had some challenges with printing for some reason, just sort of all of a sudden. We got some new printers because we're trying to make sure that everyone who's coming back has their own individual workstation. And there's COVID-19 money available to fund that. So we bought additional small receipt printers. And so the IT company, Coughlin, has been very responsive. But I've been off this week, so I don't know if we still have a problem or not.
So could you please just give us a summary of why the receipt printers are important?
Sure. So we're using them they print out a hold slip. So when a book comes back, we check it in, and it's either going to say that it stays here and goes to shelving, and it's recently returned, or that it's on hold for a local patron and has to go to the public hold shelf, and the receipt printer tells us who it's on hold for. So we print out that receipt, put it in the book, and contact the patron and schedule delivery, and then we put it on the shelf until they're ready to pick it up. Or it tells us to send it in delivery, and most of the time we can just throw the book into a box, but some libraries still require a printed slip to tell the delivery people where that book is ending up. And then the second purpose of those receipt printers is when we check out to patrons, we can send an email receipt, and we've been doing that. So when we do curbside, we check the items out to the patron with a due date, whatever, 3 weeks usually from the date they're picking it up, but then we like to put a printed receipt in the bag, so they can see that everything is checked out to them and when it's due. There's also a sort of a spot we can customize those forms a little bit. So we can put, please take the long range planning survey, or don't forget this is how pickup works, or, upcoming friends program. We can add a note to the bottom of the receipt and customize it. So it's handy to have, and we don't want to waste paper, but it's handy to have those printed slips so that we know who the book is on hold for, and so the person receiving the items knows when they're due.
Great, thank you, Beth. Any questions for Beth on IT? Throw up a hand if you need to. Very good. Thank you, Beth. On to the Friends update. I believe, was it Daniela who was going to attend the meeting this month, or was it Doug? I know I had a couple of volunteers.
That was me. And I reached out for the information and unfortunately got a bit of radio silence.
Yeah.
So I was little confused, but then I figured have to be flexible in these times. So I'm ready to roll for the next one.
Okay. Yeah. I can agree with you on that, because I did reach out as well and mentioned that you'd like to attend, and I didn't hear anything either. So okay. Yep. So
they were supposed to hold their annual meeting.
Yes.
The 21st. Yeah, I didn't. I also reached out. Did not hear a response.
Okay. So do we have? I know we know a number of people on that board. Would someone take an action item to reach out to the Friends committee members?
I can do that because I need to do it for something else.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, Dana.
And we want to know when the annual meeting will be, is that it? And the next meeting, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did attend their community read. They had a discussion with Ken Wagner about diversity, equality, and inclusion. And we talked about various books that we'd read out of the book list that they had available, and changes we had made or planned to make in our lives based on the reading of those books. There were 7 attendees, I think a couple of trustees, a couple of staff, and 1 member of the public. But it was a really great discussion.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you, Beth. On to landscape garden. I think we can table that for Beth Patch when she joins us next. I guess there's no noise complaints, the next item on the agenda, unless people are walking too loudly in the library or speaking not in a library voice. And space issues, next item on the agenda. I don't know if there's anything to say about space issues. We are getting a new library, and I think the the current temporary space is working out well. At least it had been for the past year or so that we've been there. Any questions? Any comments from you, Beth?
Just that I don't believe that there is space to allow for social distancing. This is why we still don't have a date for public to return for browsing. We're still in phase 1, step 2. And I will also say that I forwarded an email from Becca to say that the lot next to, I don't know if parking is separate or if it's concluded in their space, but lot 51,
Sure.
or number 51 North Main Street, which is next to 53 North Main Street, where the temporary building is located, is finally up for sale. And she wanted to know if we needed it for overflow parking, given the COVID-19 situation. So I just said that I would forward it to the board and get back with her next week when I'm returning from vacation. So
Yeah,
no
that was the
parking issue
first.
at present.
Yeah, sorry, that was the first I had heard of that. So I can certainly look into that and respond.
Well, that's really good because that's what we were hoping for. So we got some action on that. Congratulations to those who worked on it and thought of it.
Great. Thank you, Doug, for taking that on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's unclear if the way I read that was asking if we would want the town to consider purchasing that property for overflow parking.
Yes.
Given the short-term nature of the temporary library, I guess we'll see what happens or where that leads.
Please include me in those discussions to Doug, and we can chat offline. It's not,
Sounds good.
I think we tabled it on the agenda because we never knew we were going to get it, and as soon as we tabled it, now we get some action on it. So, okay, great. Thank you, Doug.
Aaron,
Yes.
yeah, on that parking, we're talking about the Trek building, are we not? The bicycle building?
No.
No.
No, it's the field that's literally right next to the parking
The
lot,
lot.
just to the left of the parking lot.
Oh, I see.
I mean, it used to be a house on there, but it's been gone.
Because we had really rough time with the winter last year. It was horrible, to be honest. But I don't know if we're going to have to be open or not for this winter. So
it's just an open field.
yes, I was one of those people that said, let's look into it. And it took a while, but Doug and Aaron managed to make someone look into it. So it's good that we know.
Okay, never mind then. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray. Okay, moving on to long-range planning discussion. Long-range planning committee. Marty is a current member of the long-range planning committee. Marty, do you have any plans to meet, or have you met?
There was supposed to be a meeting. My understanding is that the facilitator needed to cancel it due to personal issues. It has not been rescheduled. There is information was sent out via email, sort of like homework for each of the people participating in the long-range planning to do in anticipation of that meeting, which was a good format, I thought. But we don't have a date yet. And when we do, we'll have a meeting.
Thank you, Marty. Beth, would you please just kind of go over what that is for the benefit of Stephanie and others?
Sure. The state, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners, recommends that every library have some kind of a strategic plan or a long-range plan. And traditionally it encompasses 3 to 5 years. And you can't apply for grants administered by the Mass Board of Library Commissioners without this long-range plan in place. So because we had one, that was one of the terms of applying for the construction grant that we received. And part of maintaining that grant is continuing to have that long-range plan on file. Traditionally, community input is really important. So the format is usually that there's a group of key stakeholders, anywhere from 12 to 20 people, who come together for 2 meetings with a facilitator who's not the library director. So this board graciously paid for another local library director to help run the program. The facilitator takes input from the community about the community first, and it's always really confusing because everyone thinks they're there to talk about the library and what the library should do, but it starts from a place of what does our community need? What are its assets? and aspirations, and where are the challenges and opportunities. And we look at that first. And then there's usually a larger community survey to get input beyond those stakeholders. So the stakeholders are also supposed to go back to people in the community and talk about these things and bring it back to the next meeting as well. But then we do a public community survey. So that's the phase that we're in now. The last time I checked, we had about 42 responses. The request for people to take that survey went to the Grafton News, the Community Advocate, to our 1,200 members on the newsletter, was published on all of our social media, went out to friends, staff, trustees, and town department heads, and we have 42 responses for 10,000 households. So that's a little disconcerting. Another challenging piece is a lot we're focused on town politics and COVID-19, which isn't really, we know we're in extreme circumstances. Some, local administrative type upheaval as well as this virus. But it's hard to make a plan for the next 5 years if we're really caught up in what's happening right now this second in Grafton. So we're continuing to push the survey. Like I said, it's on the receipts. I'm asking people to take it. My job is to take those survey results and get them to the facilitator before the next meeting. She did have a family emergency, and then with my needing to take vacation and her having other commitments, we had actually agreed to try and meet again September 1st, but it turns out that's local election day. The second she has town meeting, we could try to meet on Wednesday, September 3rd. The issue now on the table, though, is that this is actually supposed to be due to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners October 1st, 2020. There's no way that I can write it in that amount of time. And MBLC did offer a waiver for up to a year of libraries to renew their plan. And we voted, I think back in April or May, to no, we're just going to pursue this and we can get it done. But the truth is, I don't have time to sit down and write it. I am acting as frontline staff when I'm on site at the library because we don't have enough staff to do the curbside delivery and reference questions. When you see the stats for this month, you're going to be blown away. So I would like the board to reconsider trying to meet that October 1st deadline. I'm happy to try and call a community meeting for September 3rd and try and get it in, say, for December. But I don't think it's realistic to bring you something in September for you to vote on and then revise it in like a week to get it to MBLC by that October 1st deadline. And it's not only that 5-year plan that's due, where we pick overarching library roles and then come up with goals for each of those roles. And then my job is to write an action plan or activity plan for each coming year. It's a huge amount of work to undertake.
So Beth, if we want to move that, do we need to take a vote on that, or what do we need to do?
I don't remember how you handled it last. You may have voted last time to do it by the deadline, but I don't remember.
Well, yeah, and it's not the vote. Do we have to make any kind of formal letter to the MBLC to say that we're going to postpone this? Because certainly given everything that's going on, I think it would be wise to postpone it.
They would be looking instead just for an action plan that's an extension of the current plan.
I agree because Beth, we're going into a new library and we really have to be, you need this plan. So I think you figure out how much time you need. I don't see how you could do it in the next couple months. So I think you need to let us know what you need, and then we need to have you talk to the Mass Library Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure part of what she needs is our help to put it together.
Yeah,
I mean, if you remember the last action plan, I mean, there was a lot of material in there preparing for the new library. So just really reading through the current plan and making additions, for the next one. So it shouldn't be as much work as the last one, because Beth did so much work on that one, but still needs to be reviewed and looked at, of course.
And I wanted just to see what we could do to increase the survey results, because people have been very busy and it's been very chaotic. And now I think once the kids go back to school, it should be once people are slightly more settled, maybe we can try to do another outreach. I can work with you on that, Beth. I have a couple ideas around that to get more results, and I will fill it out myself.
I think one of the things that's confusing is even the survey has questions about, it's really about the community survey about the community needs. So there are lots of comments on the survey like, this isn't even about the library. And the last question is about the library, but they don't, because they're not part of the whole process. There seems to be a lack of, in spite of my introduction, there seems to be a lack of understanding about the point of trying to assess the needs of the community in this way. So, and we do use this document. I have it hanging over my desk. I look at it all the time because it's supposed to be the guiding document for the everyday work that staff does. So when a staff member comes up to me and says, hey, I want to do this new program, it's really great, or I want to apply for this grant, my first response is always, how does this fit in? Where does this fit on the plan? Because if it doesn't, then you need to wait, because that's not something the community identified as a role for the library to take on, no matter how cool it sounds. And we use the document also for staff setting their goals for the year and the activities that they're going to work on.
Well,
So
let me
at the very
just
least.
ask this. The immediate problem is dealing with this deadline that's October 1.
Yeah.
And so what needs to be done? Is there anything we can do today that votes gives you the ability to exercise the right of the extension?
Well, if you voted as a group to have it done by the deadline, which I think you did, then I would be looking for a motion to accept the waiver that's offered and get the action plan in for October 1st. So I'd bring that to the next meeting for your approval and vote as well.
I'm
So you
sorry.
mean the action plan to us for October 1st, not to them?
I would bring the action plan to you at our September meeting, which I don't have a calendar handy. It might be the 20, I don't know if it's the 22nd, 3rd of October. The fourth Wednesday the fourth Wednesday in September would be our next meeting.
Yeah, that's the 23rd.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, clarify for me, the action plan would be
In
what?
the year interim, while we're between two strategic plans, here's what we will work on. Based on, we would just basically extend the last strategic plan by 1 year and still work under the roles of having a good facility and building good collections. I forget what the 4 components were, but materials, collections, marketing, and facility, I think.
Is that a lot of work to produce that action plan?
No, that I can do in the next 2 weeks and send it.
Well, then it seems to me that if we need to do something today to direct you that way, then I think that we should.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do we
I'd
need to
like to, I think what I'd like to do is have someone make a motion to accept the MBLC's extension for a five-year plan. And did you call it an addendum, Beth, for the long-range plan?
Or just an extension, I think is.
I can do it.
Okay, go ahead, Dana.
I vote that the Board of Library Trustees, we ask for an extension on the long-range plan that is due to the Mass Library Board of Commissioners.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, Aaron? Aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
Daniela?
Aye.
Dana?
I didn't hear what you said, but
Oh,
no
I
one
said-
else is
I said
responding.
Dana.
Okay.
Okay, and Doug says aye, and Marty.
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay.
It's a huge relief. Thank you.
You're welcome, Beth. Great. I think Doug needs to drop off for a few minutes, but that's fine. We can continue on. I have just one more before we move on in the agenda. So you're talking about the survey. Would you please provide that to the trustees? If,
Yeah, I didn't see it.
and then that way we can distribute it to our contacts, because part of the role of a library trustee is also to be an advocate for the community. I think that's a good takeaway.
Yeah, so I will work with Beth on that a bit, and I will see if we can get it in some other media.
I'll repost it to the library Facebook page today or tomorrow, and then if you can all share it to your pages too,
Yeah.
that's always really helpful. It's bit.ly/LRP2025.
Yeah.
Let's put it in the chat.
Thank you, Beth.
Oops,
Okay.
Stephanie has her hand raised.
Yes, Stephanie, please.
All right, can I ask a question? Did this have to get approved, this language through the board as far as questions and kind of the upfront, like why we're doing this community survey. Did that have to get approved, or Beth, is that something that I can chat with you about offline?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's more traditional part of the process. You know, the board agreed to hire a facilitator, and we sort of did what we had done in the past, which was have the person come in, 2 community meetings, 1 survey. She also met with staff, so there was a staff component as well. And then all that information gets thrown back to the director to write out the actual, you know, goals and action steps. And then that's brought to the board. And every year we try to review it and then approve the next year's action plan.
Okay, thank you.
I have to go on mute for just a minute. There's some noise in the background. Just a moment. Go back. Feel free to discuss amongst yourselves.
So there's a book called Planning for Results by Sandra Nelson, and that's sort of the Bible in the library field for all different library types for creating a long-range or strategic plan. And I think that's the process that she outlines. And then one of the things that the facilitator, she's Patty DiTullio, she's the director at the Ipswich Public Library, is she like changed some wording, like instead of, you know, weaknesses, maybe we look at opportunities now. And she brought in different types of assignments for the people, those key stakeholders to do. There's always tweaking to that format, but the whole process and format wasn't something that I needed to bring to the board and say, we're going to do this, 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 and this is this okay. We let that to kindly to my discretion, and if it doesn't work, we will evaluate it and do it differently next time.
Well, I think it was hard because of the pandemic, and I just think, and then we had other issues going on too in the town.
We met Monday the 10th of March, remember? And then I got sick Friday the 13th, and we shut down like that day. That's been craziness.
Actually, I recall coming home from that meeting and saying to myself, I can't believe I just sat in this room with all these people,
shoulder to shoulder,
shoulder to shoulder, sharing pizza.
Yeah.
And I was never so happy to be healthy 2 weeks later. Yeah, it was a nervous making thing. We were right on the cusp of something terrible.
I mean, that just sounds so out of this world right now. It really does. Yeah, it's like, who would ever do something like that? But yeah, well, I'm certainly very glad you were all healthy 2 weeks later, so that's great.
Yeah, it's...
Well, Beth's been sick for a while, right, Beth?
Yeah, I had
we don't know.
Being recorded. I had 100.3 degree fever yesterday, 2 days ago. Yeah, it's just not.
100 what?
100.3. It's never gonna hit that 100.4 COVID symptom fever.
Can you?
And they rule out like everything else from my doctor. I'm not whatever it is, it's not contagious. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm still sick. 5 months later.
Well.
Yeah.
I've already expressed my conservatism on the subject.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you for giving me a brief pause, everyone. So any more comments, questions on long-range planning for Beth?
So I just had one, because I have multiple monitors, so I'm looking at the survey right now. And Beth, you said that a lot of people were kind of asking, why isn't it specific about the library? So I guess I'm thinking that if we kind of address that in the top part, because I think that there's kind of a misconception about all the things that the library has to offer right now. And so to kind of be asking about like what community concerns are in people's mind, they might be thinking of like the way the library used to be, where you just go and you rent books, and they're not thinking about what the library is right now and what it offers. So I think that maybe kind of updating that or tweaking that language. So I would be more than happy to kind of connect with you about that, and maybe we get more responses and less questions back.
Yeah. Yeah, we really were looking for those overarching things, you know, like, okay, racism is a problem in Grafton, and then we as the library take that and say, okay, one, is it our role to deal with racism? And two, how would we do that if that was indeed our role?
Mm-hmm.
That's the path that the planning process takes.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephanie, for volunteering to help with that. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Excellent. Okay. Any last minute comments? Just throw a hand up, please. Great. Moving right along. On to policy review. Mila or Beth, who would like to start there? Great.
I believe we have a very important policy up for review and hopefully some comments, and I believe voting at this point. That would be the pandemic policy. Timely, is it not? It went through the pandemic policy, I believe, was all sent out at least 2 weeks ago, the latest iteration. Oh, thank you. There you go. Thank you very much. Yes. So this policy not only covers, you know, obviously what is happening now, but whatever state or regional issues, epidemic and pandemic issues that may come up. Like, remember last year we had EEE. It seems so quaint now, but this would cover and inform the public and also inform the library staff and volunteers what the library will do, expect inside and out. And I believe everybody had a chance to offer their comments and corrections. The role of the library is in terms of public information, public education is mentioned there. It is a comprehensive document. It has to deal with issues like what to do with staff, their safety, public coming in, their safety, when to close the library, how that will be done, how that will be determined, the important questions that people come up. Trying to remember if there is another aspect of it. You know, the staffing is there. The social distancing aspect was added new for this year. And the guidelines are more detailed than you would expect. This is not a policy that is supposed to go up on the wall as a general like reference. It is something that is more of a instructional, almost like almost at a recipe book, but a regulatory document in case there is any concern or question on how do we deal with this particular issue. Cleaning of the space, handling of materials, how to offer services to the public, how to keep the staff safe, all in there. So again, I said it a couple of times, but it is a very comprehensive document. And I believe that it's important to have it in place now, as official. And this iteration I think will last for a long time and will allow the library to be flexible if anything else comes up, and they can adjust the pandemic policy accordingly.
Thank you, Daniela. And that's exactly right. Your last comment is right on the money, because it's such an evolving issue right now with the pandemic. But we do need to not spend so much time on it to make sure that it meets every issue. We need to get a policy out there. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to put it out there, and Beth and her staff will come back and say, this just doesn't work right, or something's changed at the state level, or this new report has come out, so we don't need to do this anymore. So I think we may have to put this back a couple of times, and I think that's not unheard of. I think it looks very good, and I can tell a lot of thought and research went into writing it. So I myself am ready to vote on it tonight if others feel it's ready.
Thank you, Erin. Yeah.
But I will go around for any comment or questions for Daniela or Beth. Let's start with Stephanie.
I don't have any questions. I thought it was very comprehensive and well put together, so I'm ready to vote.
Great, thank you. Karen?
No questions. I'm ready to vote on this.
I'm ready to vote on it. It looks great.
Marty?
Yeah, I was very impressed. I think it's very comprehensive, and I'm ready to vote on it.
Excellent. Okay. Do I have a motion to vote? I don't think I need to make a motion to make a vote on something. So I'll say all those in favor of accepting the pandemic policy as written. I, Aaron Vandestein. Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie Texera.
Karen?
Aye, Karen Sepatelli.
Danielle?
I, Dana Wilson, accept it.
Daniela?
I, Daniela Sharma.
And Marty?
Martin Essner, yes.
Very good. The policy is accepted.
Thank you, everyone.
On to the next policy. Is that the only one we have for vote tonight?
Yeah, the collection and what was the other one? Circulation.
Okay. So let's talk about the Grafton Collection policy.
So this one is a study in contrast because this one is succinct and to the point and gives everyone a good overview of what the library does when in terms of the types of information that types of materials they're going to collect, and the donation procedure, but in a very, very simplified format.
Okay.
Again, I think that the good thing about this one is that it is easy to refer to, and this would be something that you could put up on a wall and look at and understand quite quickly.
Okay. I will go around for any questions, comments on the Grafton collecting policy for the Grafton Collection. Let's start with Stephanie.
I don't have any questions.
Great. Karen?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Dana?
I'm good.
Excellent. And Marty?
No questions.
Doug, any questions, comments on the Grafton collecting policy for the Grafton Collection?
Not from Doug.
None from Doug, I think I heard. Okay, excellent. Great. So I think we're ready to vote on the collecting policy for the Grafton Collection. I had to keep reading that over again because I know I was saying it wrong a couple of times. Okay, so in favor of accepting the collecting policy for the Grafton Collection, I, Aaron Vandestein. Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie Texera.
Karen?
Aye, Karen Sepatelli.
Daniela,
I, Daniela Sharma.
Marty,
I, Martin Essner.
Doug,
Was that me?
no, Doug,
Okay.
I, Doug Bowman.
great, thanks Doug, and Dana.
I'm good with it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Excellent.
sorry, you're a little bit choppy, so I'm only hearing fragments of words.
Okay, we only heard fragments of you, Doug, I think.
Yeah. Sorry.
No worries.
I am now in my car, so
Okay,
not driving, I am riding.
okay, very good. Great, and I think we've accepted 2 policies tonight. Very good, thank you everyone. On to the next item on the agenda. More policy. We have the statement of diversity, equity. All right, is this policies, just the way it's written? It's a statement of diversity, equity, inclusion, one policy.
So I did not write anything. I had asked via email if the board would consider discussing at their next meeting, putting together such a statement, because more and more I feel like our silence is acquiescence. And many of our local, state, and national library organizations have put out something to say that, Black Lives Matter and, denounce institutional racism. And whole communities in Massachusetts have done so. So I was hoping that you'd be willing to discuss, yes, this is something we should do or something we should not do, and task somebody with developing a statement that we can have on our website. It's not really a policy, it's just hey, everybody matters. And, we sort of have had that as an ethic at the Grafton Library for a long time, but not explicitly stating it at this point. I think it's time to do it. You may disagree, probably.
Okay, I saw a hand from Daniela, please go ahead.
First, I wanted to ask, Beth, I apologize. I was looking through some of the other policies, the list and so forth, but I didn't know if there was some other previous statement or comment within the library or even the town, any other government boards on this that we can use as sort of a base and bring up to the present time.
I don't think so. And I will let you know, I did additionally ask the town administrator's office and the chair of the current select board to consider joining the other 24 municipalities in Massachusetts who have put together a statement against systemic racism. And I haven't heard a response from them, but I asked the town to take this on as well.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw a hand from Stephanie.
Yeah, I would love to be tasked with this. I have like no questions, just.
Okay, I think what would be a good exercise is just I myself, I think it's a great idea, and I'm happy that Stephanie, jumped right on that. So thank you for that. I think as a board, perhaps we should endorse or have a vote that we want to have a statement from the library trustee board. So I have a motion to authorize Stephanie to write a statement of diversity, equity, inclusion.
I move.
I second.
Could you repeat that, Danielle? I think your audio cut out. Can't hear you.
Move that. I'm not muted. Okay.
All right, there you
Is
go.
that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
I move that we authorize Stephanie to begin the process of writing a statement on diversity inclusion.
All right, I second.
Okay. All in favor? I, Aaron Vandestein. Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie Texera.
Aaron?
I, Karen Sepatelli.
Daniela?
I, Daniela Sharma.
Dana?
I, Dana Wilson.
Marty?
I, Martin Essner.
And Doug?
I, Doug Bowen.
Very good. Thank you, Stephanie.
Can I just ask one real quick question?
Oh, please. Go ahead, Doug.
I'm assuming we have some kind of statement for the library that says that, the library is accessible to all Graftons regardless of et cetera, et cetera. So this statement would be, I think as Beth described, would be more just not really a policy, but just a statement from the library perspective. That's what you're envisioning?
Yeah, it probably says in our mission that we serve all residents of Grafton,
Yeah.
regardless of anything, and all.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for more specific about systemic racism.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I also agree that it seems like something that the town should put out a statement also. So I think once Stephanie puts that together, we could kind of continue to encourage the town.
Thank you, Doug. And thank you, Beth, for bringing that to our attention and bringing that to the board. I think it's a great initiative for us and to be represented.
Yeah, I do want to give Carrie Hogan credit because she wrote the program description for the program on diversity, equality, and inclusion the Friends posted. And it was that her writing of that and them putting on that program that sparked my inclination to ask the board to do it.
If I can just add, if Stephanie, if you would like any assistance, I'm happy to work with you on it.
Thank you, Marty.
Great. And while on the topic of policy, I've asked Daniela and Beth to help write the policy for a fine-free library, because I think that we are very close as an organization and as a town to finally going fine-free. We are on the select board agenda for September 1st. And what I've requested of the select board and also the finance committee is for them to discuss it at their meeting. Actually, the finance committee is meeting tonight. I'm hoping that they're discussing and have it on their agenda. And to get a letter of support from them. What it's come down to, and from what I understand in the discussions that I've had with the NBLC and the finance committee, is that if the town agrees, it's up to the library trustees whether we want to put up fines or not, and it's up to us, and they agree it's up to us in the town of Grafton. So if all goes well, I expect by the next September meeting, or if we wanted to go fine-free sooner, if we get that support, then we could call a special meeting. But anticipate at least by the next September trustee meeting, I'm hoping that we can, vote for a fine-free library and have that accepted. So, so that policy is going to be very important before we can actually do it, because when it comes to money, you have to be very specific on what people owe fines for and what they don't owe fines for. And, just for the record, fine-free library we're envisioning as, if you don't return something and it's overdue, it'll still continue to accrue fines, based on the policy we set forth until it's returned. It could be 6 months to a year. And I know Beth has some policies that are already written about when fines stop accruing for certain items. And so I think will probably still be important for the policy that we're writing. Very good. Any questions, comments? Beth Galloway?
Can I ask that the board consider extending our food for fines, which we always do as part of summer reading, through the end of September, like due to the pandemic? Because ordinarily September 1st, we would start charging people again. So it's accruing on their accounts now, and we've just been waiving them. And there's now in Beanstack, if you're participating in the summer reading program, you can earn a badge by saying that you donated to the food bank and then providing proof, like a receipt. And they certainly can use the help still. So I'm wondering, because it would feel funny to start charging from September 1st until our next meeting, September 23rd. So could you possibly consider extending food for fines for another 30 days to the end of September?
Sure, I think that's a great idea, Beth. So we can certainly have a motion and a vote for that, for extending the food for fines in September. Any other questions, comments regarding policy or a fine-free library?
I would only add that I think regarding food for fines, we should continue to do that once we are fine free. Just think of another excuse to collect food.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I second that.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, very good. So can someone please make a motion for extending food for fines to the end of September 2020?
I make a motion to extend the food for fines program through September of 2020.
Great. All in favor? Aye. Oh, sorry, is there a second?
Second it.
Yeah.
Who seconded that?
Stephanie.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. All in favor? Aye. Aaron Vandestein. Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie Texera.
Aaron?
I, Karen Sepatelli.
Daniela? Can't hear you, Daniela. Maybe get closer to the computer.
Hi, Daniela Sharma.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great, thank you. Dana?
Hi, Dana Wilson.
Marty?
I'm Martin Essner.
And Doug?
Aye, Doug. Aye, Doug.
Aye, Doug. Aye, Doug. Great.
I vote once.
Very good. Great. That's exciting. So moving on, we have the director's report. And if you have one, that's fantastic, Beth, and I appreciate doing that. If I hope it wasn't on your vacation.
Oh,
So this was really like staff-wise, and I had to take this week because we have no Noam, no Josie, and Aaron went away for 3 days. So selfishly, I went, no kids at home. I'm taking this week off, and it's been very lovely. So it took me about 2 hours today to put something together for you to look at, but it is not my traditional long PowerPoint. Hopefully you can see this. I just used Easily again. When I was sharing reports in March, April, May, a lot of the traditional things that I reported on, the library services we were offering, it turns out don't really apply during pandemic when we are not seeing people in person. So for this month, I focused on curbside pickup, which we started July 13th. From July 13th to 31st, we did 392 curbside pickups. Some of those were repeat customers. 6 of those were museum passes, as museums have slowly started reopening to the public. I have a team of 2 people keeping on top of who's open and who's not and who accepts library passes, so that we can make sure that it's up to date, and every time something changes, we put it online. Most of the museums now are accepting library passes, and how it works is you call the museum, purchase your ticket at the library rate, and then call the library and see if the pass is available. So sometimes there's a lot of back and forth, checking the library website, seeing if the pass is available, go to the museum, pay for the ticket, and then get the library pass physically in hand to bring on the day of your trip. 1 or 2 museums just have a code you can put in, and that makes it super easy. But we are offering now, I think 80% of our library passes are back and available.
Oh.
For the second time in a row, digital borrowing surpassed physical borrowing. So this is our trend of, this is about where I started, end of in 2013, physical circulation peaked. And then we started putting more money into digital collections and saw that physical went down while digital went up. So this is year to date, 28,000 physical items circulated and 37,000 digital, ebooks, e-audio, e-magazines, and e-video. We added a new fiscal year. It's like Christmas. We have money to spend again. We added 663 physical items to the collection. I did not count digital items. I'll try to remember to do that next month. A few months ago, we started making a library card application available online, so people could fill out the form. Staff could check it to make sure they didn't already have a card in the system or a card with fines or overdue items on it. And then by email, they issue a 14-digit barcode that's a digital card number. And the idea is now that patron off-site can use their new library card number for all of our digital services. We just launched Comics Plus, which is a huge online comics repository. and Freegal, which is a digital music service that offers a limited number of hours of streaming per day. I think it's 3 hours per day, plus three digital downloads a week. So these are, you know, hot ticket items that people really want to use. We still have Hoopla, which is a streaming music service. We have Bookflix, which is the invoice from Scholastic on this week's bill warrant. Bookflix is ebooks for kids. They pair a picture book and a nonfiction book on a theme. And with Bookflix, you can watch the video, have the material read to you. Sometimes there's activities or a quiz at the end. We offer access to a service called tutor.com. And as of July 31st, they, instead of just offering after school hours from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m., for the same subscription price, they extended that from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And this is a service where like a Grafton student can log in, set up an account with their library card, and talk to a vetted tutor to get help with any K through 12 subject. They also offer help with like college essays and resumes. It's a really amazing service. So these are all digital services available with the library card. What happens when the person who's now got the digital card decides they want to try curbside pickup and they want physical items? We need some proof of who they are and proof of their residency. So we're able to set up a Zoom session, or people have emailed documents, so that we can now issue them a physical card, good for physical materials as well. Now they can place holds and get music, movies, books, you know, the sewing machine, the telescope, whatever it is that we have available to be physically checked out through curbside checkout. So only 14 cards, but you know, it's 14 new people. It's really great. We answered 398 reference questions in July, and I'm sure that we didn't even track every single thing. The majority of questions are reader's advisory, and now we're getting lots of free reign things. So people will have specific title requests, but they'll also call or email or send a message on Facebook to say, I need 7 to 10 books for my 3-year-old, and she really loves princesses and outer space, and could we have a book on hand washing too? And then staff will put together a packet of materials and get them out for the patron through the curbside service. So reader's advisory is when they don't have a specific request. Holds is when they know a specific title, you know, of a book, movie, or a piece of music. Library account, we have lots of accounts that are expiring, so we need the person to either call or go through an interview process. This is a Facebook Messenger question often. I can't access anything digital. I can't get to my holds. How do I do that? So then we have to quiz them. Do you still live at this address? Is this still your email? Okay, great. I've renewed the card for another 2 years. The operational questions are all, when are you opening? How do I return an item? How do I place a hold? Can I bring my Webster items to Grafton? Can I use Grafton for curbside pickup? What hours is curbside? Those kinds of things. And then the curbside questions were more specific, like I can't pick up my item and I need to change the time, that sort of thing. The library card is issuing the library card. Reference questions are things we had to look up. And sometimes that's a museum pass reservation, but sometimes it's something really specific, like tell me more about this local poet, or tell me more about this particular author. Digital resources, we've done some how-to both over the phone and through Zoom for helping patrons use some of those databases that I just mentioned. Questions about museum passes. Questions about programs. The most popular question about programs has probably been, can I sign my 4th grader up to get a teen program bag? And the answer is no, unfortunately they're not a teenager, but when they get to be a teenager, yes, then we can let them use that service. And then one question about volunteering. The majority of questions come through email or phone, but again, Facebook Messenger, people use Facebook Messenger. We added a thing to our website where, not from the front page, but you bounce to any other page and you get a pop-up that says if you have a question, you can send a message through Facebook Messenger. And if it's between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., then a staff member can respond. Otherwise, they get an automated response that says, sorry, no one's available right now, and then you try and pick up that question the next day. Questions through text are things like, I'm friendly with a patron and they happen to have my phone number and they're direct, or a trustee, and they're directly texting me asking a question. For programming, we offered 30 programs, 5 for adults and 25 for youth this past month, online, some passive, some live, some recorded, and we did 54 programs in a bag where teens specify what kind of craft they wanted to do, and then Allison put together a packet for them. And then Beanstack is our summer reading program, and we've had great success with it. We had 84 unique participants using Beanstack in July. They did 722 activities and they earned 533 badges, and the badge number is lower because some of the badges have more than one component to earn the badge. And a badge could be anything from, read in a specific location, to read a particular type of book, to go to a protest, or participate in a friend's reading program, or do food for fines. So it's those kinds of things, as well as just straight reading. Beanstack also allows you to track minutes read, and you can put in the title and author. So those 84 participants read 74,276 minutes in the month of July. So that's really huge. And I think this is the first time we've done a reading program this way. So it'll be interesting to see how it continues. The staff have already started planning a fall reading program, and they'll probably do a winter one, and they'll just try and keep that momentum going. We have had 2 volunteers come back, 1 for each shift. So staff are still working a staggered A/B schedule. So we've got 1 volunteer on each shift. I think they're both people in the senior tax relief program who are willing and comfortable to come back and wear their mask and do shelving for us. So we've got 2 volunteers, and I think they did like 52 hours in the month of July. And that's, I think that's all I have to say. I'm happy to take questions. If there's something that I didn't touch on that you want to know about, I'm happy to talk more.
Yeah, I'll start. Dana, first of all, I really, sorry, that's a Dana. So
I've been called worse.
Yes.
you've been called better, right? No. So really, one of the things I was really kind of interested in was the curbside pickup. Looks like it's going very well, and I picked up things a couple of times, and the process seems good. That they let you know when your items are available, and you kind of choose whether it be a morning or afternoon, and that way the items really don't just sit outside all the time. I think that's a very good process.
We just changed it so they do sit outside all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Because the community has shown that they can be trusted. Nobody's stealing anybody's bags. So
yeah. So what I thought was really cool was also the grab bags. I was kind of disappointed the last time I went for a pickup there were no grab bags. But I thought that was kind of a neat idea. And you're not worried about somebody who the items I guess aren't checked out to their card coming back. Not generally.
yeah, it happens sometimes. I mean, I know that we had somebody who requested items, and I thought I checked everything out, and then noticed the next time they requested items, they still had something on hold just because I missed it. So we're missing 1 or 2, here or there. So 1 out of 6,000 a month, that's one statistic. Everything makes its way back eventually. And I think that we've sort of just decided, if somebody is really enough of a jerk to come and grab like Aaron's bag of books before Aaron can get there and take it, we're not going to hold Aaron accountable for that. It'll be a cost of doing business in these pandemic times. So.
Well, I meant more the mystery bags. You know what I mean by that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are, we don't want donations, and people continue to donate items.
Oh.
So we got rid of tons of items. However, I'm cleaning out my bookshelves. Beth Patch is cleaning out her bookshelves. So probably around Labor Day, we'll have another component of grab bags. I do think the children's room staff is working on an online form. You can get a grab bag of library items that you would borrow and return, as opposed to donations to keep. Sort of let us surprise and delight you with what we can put together based on an age or a theme.
Oh, okay. I think that's a great idea. I think having a mystery bag of library items is fun too, because you don't always know what you want, and when you show up, it's kind of a neat kind of way to get. I know when I visit the library, I always get more than I came for. And it's still nice to kind of see that. So I thought that was a neat idea. My other question is a bit more procedural, and it's about, I heard you say earlier about the library. There's not enough space in the library to properly do social distancing. So based on next few weeks, the next few months, the next 6 months, I don't think that's really you're not going to get more space to properly social distance in the library, right? I guess maybe very candidly, what were your thoughts on opening the library, next month or 3 months or 6 months from now?
Yeah. So my thought had been, and I think still is, that with the weather starting to turn, we can't do outdoor pickup indefinitely. And I think we're working on getting the lobby of the current space set up kind of to use as in lieu of the outdoor curbside pickup, where one person or a pod family, I don't know how you want to call it, like a bonded family, could come in with their masks on and go to a desk with plexiglass on it and ask their reference question or reader's advisory in person, but the stacks would still be closed so that they're not wandering around, or we're not worrying about space issues in the building. They would be able to pick up their holds inside instead of outside in a brown paper bag. They would self-check them out themselves for that day. So now we're not worrying about checking out an item and either somebody else took it, or we checked it out Thursday, but the person came Friday and we shorted them a day on the amount of time they can keep the material. So we had gone to self-pickup for holds when we moved to the temporary facility, and we have enough shelving to do that. So that would sort of be my thought, that we could move to step 2 and bring the pickup inside with the patrons checking out their own items and requesting materials to be handed directly and immediately to them. I think that if staff are comfortable, then we could also go to make an appointment for passport acceptance, for test proctoring, for notary services. I'm really uncomfortable still with browsing, which is phase 3. And I couldn't say when I would be comfortable doing the public in the building and browsing even at 40% capacity. I think that my biggest concern is it doesn't matter so much how much we sanitize everything or how long we quarantine items. I sort of feel like there is a piece that it's on the staff and the patrons to simply wash their hands and not touch their face. But that this new research that says COVID-19 is absolutely airborne, and what I'm reading from other libraries and their patrons' refusal to keep the mask on and wear the mask is incredibly concerning. And I don't want to have my staff in that closed space with patrons who might or might not take off their mask and might or might not obey us, and then having staff have to enforce that and then pick up the phone and call and wait for police backup to escort a patron out of the building. It's a lot to ask us to take on.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Dana, please. You're on mute still.
I was just going to ask you if we could, are we able to come up with our own number of people in the building that we feel comfortable with to let browsing happen, or let the library be used? Used?
There's a formula.
Because 40%'s a lot. I don't know what 40% is, but I'm sure, I don't know. Is it 20 people in the whole home building, or is it 30? What is it? I just wondered. I mean, would that make a difference to you if you could limit the number of people? And they have to wear masks. That wherever I'm going, I'm seeing that that's being, most people are following. And if not, we have to enforce it. I mean, things are changing right now with some of the universities and stuff. Some of these kids that had parties are getting expelled or suspended. So I don't know if that will help.
All right, let me just give the floor back to Beth. Do you have any response to that, Beth?
I think that I might have to play my immunocompromised card in that case and not be at work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Beth. Stephanie, I saw your hand next.
Yeah, so I actually, Beth, I think that it came through one of the emails that you sent out that it's showing that it can linger on library materials for up to 5 days. So my concern would be that if we're allowing any sort of browsing, we're not aware of what the patrons might be touching, what might be, getting contaminated, and then it's not being quarantined. So where you had just kind of sent that out when we talked about opening it up and when we would be comfortable having people browse through the stacks. That was my original kind of, the thing that popped into my head was, well, we can't quarantine these materials. We don't know that they're going to be safe for the next person who checks them out. And so the safety of our community really has to be, we have to be able to ensure that before, in my opinion, before we open it back up for browsing the stacks. And I don't know when we would be able to do that.
And again, I'm less concerned about, like I said, like sanitizing the door every 10 minutes or even quarantining materials. I mean, all of these libraries opened without waiting for the data from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, who said they were going to do this research for us and that was going to take them a year just to do the research. And we all just opened and we all quarantined for a day or two, and then they had their first report. So then we went, oh, 3 days, okay, 3 days. And then they had a new report that said, actually, board books and glossy picture books and glossy magazines, 4 days. So we went, okay, we just changed a week ago. Okay, fine, we'll do 4 days. And then a new report, you know, so that plastic materials, the delivery bins that we get that we have been quarantining for 3 days before we open them, 5 days. Books with cassettes, like that's old school, right? But we have plastic bags and plastic kits, 5 days. So what's the next report gonna show? I do think that, like I said, at some point, like, don't lick the books, right? Don't touch the book in your face. The book is not breathing out at you. I think I would be comfortable putting out a cart of books for people to browse with a sign that says, touch at your own risk. There's the hand sanitizer. You know, take what you'd like. Here's the self-check. We could probably do some kind of a pop-up outdoor thing. I think my biggest concern is people in the space breathing, not having the right mask, pulling the mask down, not keeping it on. We don't have good air circulation, and in that main space, we can't open a window because there are no windows. The library we're in is a sanctuary with a couple windows on the sides, and then the children's space is bordered by classrooms with windows. So we don't have good airflow to even be bringing in fresh air to flush things out. So my concern is really not material or surfaces. That's just good hygiene. It's air particles. And putting people in an enclosed space, even a few people. We have about 4 staff per shift now. So there's somebody in the sanctuary. I might be in my office. Donna's in her office, and there's one person in the children's room. So we are sort of like drastically spread out. So it feels very safe to us because we're all wearing masks and we're each in our individual spaces. And once you start bringing in the public, and not just those individuals, you know, we say 8 families and you know, make an appointment every 15 minutes. We can do 8 families in 4 hours. Then you're also bringing in everybody whose air they breathe in the last 2 weeks. It's not just those individuals. And they might wear a mask at the library because now we're requiring it, but they might not be, you know, at the beach or the park or like wherever they're going. It's just, there's no control over it. That's really scary to think about.
I think it's good to talk about it because we have to face the reality. So if it sounds like we may not be able to open until we have a vaccine, that's the reality. You are right, the air quality is very important, and we don't have that.
There's another issue that comes up is a question of liability. What's the reasonable expectation of a person going to the library as to its being safe, as to its being in compliance with state policy and what have you? And if we discover that it's not, is there a possible liability issue as well, which I would hate to see. But somewhere, someplace, somebody's going to get COVID and they're going to sue.
Yeah, but that's true for any business, right? I mean, any business that's allowing people to come in and browse and walk out. I mean, I assume there's got to be some legal statement that we could put on the door that says, you know, enter at your own risk. I don't know. I mean, that's obviously for the town lawyer to review.
Usually those kinds of waiver concepts don't really stand up all that well. But I mean,
Well,
but it's in terms of just speaking generally though, there's the liability issue, but then there's the issue of, do we want to be safe anyway? So the question is, you know, when we decide what is a risk point, is that a good decision? And how do we measure that?
Thank
Yeah,
you,
I mean,
Marty.
and that's where you hope that some of the library organizations with the research that Beth was mentioning would come out with some guidance for us.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
I
what
would I would like to know if there's some, like Dana said, if there's some number of people, let's just say it's 5 visitors, can be in the building at one time, or 6 or 10, whatever we feel is a safe number.
There's a guideline for, so you could use 40% of typical capacity or typical traffic, which I think Tim had advised. I think there's also a state guideline for X number of people. It might be 8 per 1,000 square feet. So one issue is if we have a 7,000 square foot building, we can have 56 people, including staff.
Mm.
That doesn't take into account the amount of space those book stacks take up.
Mhm.
Like, we're not talking about 7,000 square feet of empty space.
And then you also have the offices that take up a lot of that square footage too.
And,
And we're not a regular library. We don't have good circulation. We're an old church.
yeah.
Yeah, but then could that be, there's only 3 people per 1,000 square feet, or 2 people per 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would cut down the risk. I don't know. I'm wondering if we should see, I mean, the schools are going back September 16th. Maybe we should see what happens with them. Because Beth's point is, it's great to wear the mask in the library, but if you're not wearing it in other places, it's nice that you're wearing it, but it does not, the real issue is, are you complying when you're with many other people?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think the problem the schools are going to have. Because when the kids when they're not in school, if they're not wearing their masks, then they can expose each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we might
Yeah,
have
but you
people that
can-
have it
you
but
can-
don't know it.
I think you can control that a little bit in the library, having directions. They can only go down this aisle in this direction, and the next aisle in the other direction, so that at least you're not getting that interaction between 2 people.
But we don't, I know, I mean, I really would love it to be open, but my concern too is there is no, I forgot about the air quality. I mean, we're not, like, I know that Westboro Library is open for browsing, and I was actually going to go and check it out, but I haven't been able to. It's limited hours, because I don't know I'm wondering how other libraries are doing. The modern libraries are a little bit different. We're not a modern library. We're in a
Mhm.
temporary space.
I'd like to give Karen the opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
Do you have something else to contribute, Karen?
Yeah, just 2 things. The first thing I was going to ask is the Dropbox only open between 10 and 4 still? Or is it open all the time?
It's open all the time. And we said 10 to 4 because we didn't want a deluge of items or
Correct, yeah.
overnight. But yes, you can return anything, anytime. And we've had
Yeah.
phone calls from people with large objects.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, call us when you get to the parking lot. We wheel out a bin. They put it in the bin. We wheel the bin in.
Yeah. Right. And as far as the opening to the general public, I saw something posted this morning that the CDC released that they're now telling, like retail personnel, anyone working with the public, not to start arguing with people who are not wearing their masks, because some are getting assaulted and in rare circumstances getting shot. So apparently some people have a very strong reaction to being told that they need to put their mask on. And I mean, even if it does not get to that level, I would hate to see anyone in the library, like you had mentioned, having to wait for the police to come because someone is not doing what they're supposed to, as far as wearing a mask. So, I've been, I mean, the grocery store and everything, yeah, you've got everybody with the mask, a lot of people with the mask down here and, kind of all over the place. And then you're right, add into that place with very poor air circulation too. So, yeah, it's a tough call, but yeah, there's too many unknowns and you don't know if people are going to behave.
Well, they're not. I mean,
They're not.
most of them are, but it's the exceptions. I have yet to go to a grocery store that has those aisles very clearly marked. Go this
Yeah.
way, go that way. They have their signage. People are pushing past me to get milk because they can't wait for me to get out of the way. I mean, it's not going to be any different. It's
No.
just the library.
No. But yeah, that was my 2 cents there. And by the way, I've been in a situation at the grocery store where I'm going the right way. I get to the end of the aisle and all the arrows are pointing towards me. And I'm like, all right, so where am I supposed to go? You know, it's difficult. So anyway, but thank you for, thinking of everything with that. All right.
Thank you, Karen. So the reason why I brought it up was because Westboro is opening, and they were saying 20 minutes, no lingering, no computer use. I'm sure there were some other items too, but a lot of questions came to mind on how do you control what people are touching or putting back, right? But you can't. And I was thinking, well, I remember that when the library was open, you had the magazines which people could grab and take a look, and you had the basket there just to understand who was using the subscriptions, to put it back in the basket. Something like that, they'd have to implement. If you touch it, you have to put it in the quarantine bin,
The whole magazine and newspaper room, right, is where we're quarantining items. So that room is actually not usable for browsing of graphic novels, media, newspapers, or magazines. We're also using the children's program room to quarantine items. So that wasn't a space that the public went into unless they're attending a program, but it's not big enough to hold everything. That's just another issue. Sure, we can open for browsing, but those collections are just cut off because we need the space for quarantining.
Yeah. So I guess in closing, I would just ask that you guys continue to come up with fun and creative ways to get the collection into patrons' hands.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing something pop up at a farmer's market. The library used to go and do story time or be available, so that might be come and browse. And now I know everything here has to be quarantined. Yeah.
Thank you, Beth. I'll open up the floor for any closing comments or questions. Karen?
Nope, I have nothing else.
Great, thanks, Karen. Daniela?
Just want to give my support to Beth and all the library staff and volunteers, or whatever you decide, that we're behind you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dana?
I would echo what Daniela said too. So these are trying times, and we just have to kind of figure out, we have to see what happens. And I think we're gonna have to do we're gonna have to see what happens. So I respect Beth's and the librarians' ideas.
Thank you, Dana. Marty?
No, I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Stephanie?
I don't have anything.
Great. And Doug?
Nope, just the same. It's unknown territory, and I think Beth and her staff is doing an excellent job getting that collection into people's hands and continuing to think of new ways to do that.
Great, thank you, Doug. All right, that is the end of the agenda. It is 8:59 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion.
Go ahead.
Karen?
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second the motion to adjourn.
Second, great, thank you, Dana. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye, Aaron Vandestein. Karen?
Aye, Karen Sepatelli.
Daniela?
Hi, Daniela Sharma.
Dana?
Hi, Dana Wilson.
Marty?
Hi, Martin Essner.
Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie Texera.
And Doug?
Hi, Doug Bowman.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for meeting on a late night, and thank you for joining from your vacation from the hustle and bustle. I'll call it, right. I hope you're reading some good books and catching up on some movies and TV you didn't get to watch in a while.
TV, what's TV?